If my wife and my children are sound mind and body and have a good religious or faithful background and are stable mentally, that enables me to do, whether I'm a civilian, whether I'm a retiree or a military service member, that enables me to work towards my units and my military's mission.
Welcome to the BLUF podcast, where you get the bottom line up front and we won't waste your time.
Hello and welcome back to the BLUF Line podcast. I am your host, Command Sergeant Major Juan Jimenez, coming at you from Redstone Arsenal. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the podcast today. Again, it's the bottom line up front, where we bring you some information to help push out messaging, push out information to keep you well informed of what goes on around the Redstone area and community, but also to reach out to all those out there that want to listen in as we interview different people and bring you some information that might be useful to you guys out there in the community, the workforce, or anywhere you might be stationed. We are a information line bringing you some great information. And again, for today's episode, just like all other episodes, we get the opportunity to bring in a special guest. And by all means, you guys' feedback is very important. Continue to send that feedback in. If you'd like to listen to somebody or have somebody on the show get interviewed so they can talk a little bit about themselves and what they do, by all means, it's great to see perspective from others and see what they do to help out not only the community, but even our country. What I'd like to do today is introduce our very special guest that we have on the show today, and his name is Mr. Bryan Copeland, which is our CR2I, which is our integrator for the CR2 program. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about this program and a little bit about him. But as we get started, I'm going to pass the mic over to Mr. Bryan Copeland and let him tell us a little bit about his background and career in the Army and what really drew him to be part of Redstone's CR2C program and the integrator for the CR2I program. Over to you.
First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you, Sergeant Major, you and the Colonel, for providing me the opportunity to talk about this program and furthermore be part of the Redstone Garrison. Sergeant Major, so I'm a soldier. I came in the Army in 1985, and I stayed 29 years. So the CR2C program is twofold for me. One as a soldier, and the other as a civilian. I became part of the reason why I came here to Redstone, because I was in Korea from 2010 to 2020. I've held various jobs in Korea, but the most important and satisfying job to me was working in the ASAP program, which is the Army Substance Abuse Program, as the Risk Reduction Program Coordinator. So I was responsible for identifying and working together with all of the installation service providers to mitigate high-risk behaviors. Now, there's civilians over there, but that program was soldier-centric. And with over 8,000 soldiers in the Young Sun community, it was a very beneficial job, not only to me and gratifying to me, but also to the community and the leadership. So doing that job for 2 years, then I went back to logistics in Korea, and this job became available. So fortunately and luckily for me, my current supervisor, Ms. Gina Koger, hired me. Coming back to the coming here as a CR2I, the integrator, I felt that it was beneficial not only to me, but I also wanted to be part of a great community that contributed to the success of the Redstone Arsenal, as well as the overall health of the community. This is a great place to be, Sergeant Major, and I'm thankful that I'm here.
Well, I'll tell you that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in finding out a little bit about you and a little bit about the program as we get kicked off. First and foremost, thank you for your service to the United States Army and our country. It's definitely a breath of fresh air to see that our non-commissioned officers out there that have served are continuing to serve in a civilian capacity and continue to help out not only soldiers but our civilian workforce as well. And I would tell you that I didn't really know the amount of work that a civilian employee really puts out till I got to Redstone Arsenal. When I was at Fort Hood, we're doing soldier stuff. We're really soldier centric. And then you come out here where they kind of flip the script and most of the workforce is civilian based and you have a small community of soldiers. It opened my eyes to an understanding of how hard our civilian workforce really works for the accomplishment of the mission of our soldiers, the mission of our country. They really stick their hand out there. I always see it as a hand up to ensure that we're getting taken care of as green suiters, but also civilians are being taken care of as well. And I'll tell you, as we dive into the CR2C program, I would just kind of ask you what your role as a CR2I is for Redstone Arsenal.
Okay, so let me talk about what the CR2C is. So the CR2C is the Commander's Readiness and Resilient Council. So what that is comprised of is 3 working groups that work together collectively, as well as the installation service providers and the stakeholders. We have the responsibility to ensure that we provide the basic needs and services, that we monitor and come up with initiatives to ensure that Redstone Arsenal is a healthy, safe community. The overall health and welfare of this community is one of the senior commander's priorities. So we are here to ensure that we support the senior commander as well as the other commanders and directors on this installation, and more importantly, the personnel that live, work, and play in Redstone. We have the responsibility to ensure that we are a healthy community overall. And so my responsibility, like I stated earlier, as the Community Readiness and Resilient Integrator, is to be part of a coalition and a team that work together collectively to accomplish this mission, Sergeant Major.
Outstanding, man. And I tell you that when you talk about integrator, to me, it's almost sounding like a superhero kind of word at the end. You're helping integrate a holistic view on Redstone Arsenal. And I tell you what, that, I think it's going to be addictive to everybody out there, no matter who's listening to it. You talk about 3 working groups. I'd like to explore a little bit of those 3 working groups. I know, and I'll go down the list of 3 working groups and toss it over to you to kind of, elaborate on it a little bit. But, one of the first working groups that Mr. Copeland was talking about is the Behavioral Health and Spiritual Resiliency Working Group. Now, that group is, pretty important, I think, along with the other 2 groups. But I want to toss it over to you, Mr. Copeland, just to see your thoughts on this group and how it's going to help us here as a community get better at what we do.
Okay, so 1, I would like to thank all of the working group members and the current working group chair. I hope he doesn't mind me and the co-chair sharing their name, which is Chaplain Barna and Dr. Ferguson, as well as the other team members. So the Behavioral Health and Spiritual Working Group. With COVID and other things going on in our life, our mental stability is extremely important. Along with that mental stability comes the spiritual resiliency. If we have a strong mind and we have a strong spiritual or religious background, then that aids in the overall health of us and individuals within this community. So behavioral health and the spiritual resiliency working group is extremely important as part of one of our pillars of health. And one of those pillars that the Army Health Promotion Center talks about, because the CR2C program is derived by the Army Public Health Center. They came up with this program, not for the Army, not just Redstone, but the Army overall, because family, physical health, and mental health enables us to sustain, not only to be able to fight our nation's mission and to work collectively through our civilian workforce and our military workforce, but that also encompasses the family. If my wife and my children are sound mind and body and have a good religious or faithful background, and are stable mentally, that enables me to do, whether I'm a civilian, whether I'm a retiree or a military service member, that enables me to work towards my units and my military's mission.
No, you hit the head right on the spot on where we're as we look into these three groups. When I think some of the theme around here is resiliency, right? As we build resiliency, I think it really allows us to know and understand that it takes a community, it takes a team to get through this. We want people to understand that you're not out there alone. There are these groups that are helping feed information so that we can help resource out places or things that you can do to help facilitate some of these stressors in these three groups. As Bryan talked about in the Behavioral Health and Spiritual Resiliency Working Group, they talk about things that are of concern through the community and see how we can help out. The second group that I like to kind of explore is the Family and Social Resiliency Working Group, and let you talk a little bit about that and see what has been the talks in those groups, or what do you think is going to come out of that Family and Social Resiliency Working Group?
Well, Sergeant Major, as I stated early, family is one of the pillars to a successful career and to a successful installation. Like I stated earlier, if my family is fine, then I'm fine. Dealing with family, especially during this time of COVID, there was a lot of isolation. There was a lot of so-called 6 feet, a lot of the sports programs, a lot of the installation services that were available through ACS, through MWR, sports. A lot of that had to be halted because of COVID. COVID came and it changed a lot. So families had to stay at home. We had teleworking, individuals working at home. That's a big dynamic. My kids aren't in school. Kids were at home doing virtual education. My kids are at home. I'm at home. My family at home. That can be a great thing for an individual to deal with. So not saying with that dynamic, arguments happened, things happened, but the ability to overcome that and work through that is resiliency, and come out and work together collectively, wholly as a family. When I say wholly, I'm talking about wholly as in WHOLEY. Wholly as a family is resilience. So our Family Social Resiliency Working Group, which is chaired by Mr. Rolfe from ACS and Ms. Sony Benson, we work together collectively along with ACS, our military family life consultant, and other installation service providers to, let me not leave these individuals out, our R2 personnel within these organizations, which was known as Unit Health Promotion Council members. They play an intricate part in these organizations because they come from families. They hear what's going on within their organizations. They bring those thoughts, bring those ideas, bring those initiatives and trainings that they're providing to personnel within their organizations. They bring those to the working group along with the stakeholders. Some individuals with the families may be experiencing financial difficulty. There are strifes and strains in marriages. So we work together collectively in that working group to come up with initiatives, figure out what we can do to combat those issues or those risks that families may or may not be facing. And then we also talk about the good and positive things that are happening in those families. If we work together collectively and we share these ideas and thoughts, then we can make the family dynamic something special, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, I think you used a key word in there, finding initiatives to help, right? To help our individual workforce, our community, and it's really getting after, the positives too, right? I mean, we do sometimes tend to lean over to the negative aspects of things. This is going on in my life and causing stresses and concerns. But what are some positives that we can look at and kind of hone in on, or what are some facets of resources to help out the community that they can get involved with. So it helps alleviate some of that stress that we're looking for either in the health and spiritual department, the family and social resiliency working group department. And then, I like to explore that final working group that you talk about. And it's the physical health working group. And then to me, it makes me think of the term that we used to use while we're really going in through the COVID pandemic was the quarantine 15. I think, like you said, with people just staying at home and virtual learning going on, I think there might have been some weight gaining too as well, possibly out there, So when we talk about physical health and working group, what's your take on this aspect of the CR2C program?
So I will say this: behavioral health, family, and physical health is wealth. Diet and exercise, mitigating the use or stopping the use because some individuals turn to vices, smoking, alcohol, food. If we minimize using or abusing or overusing some of these things, then that can contribute to our overall health. And I would tell you, Fox Army Health Center, along with the MWR program, as well as some of the other installation programs, they bring good ideas. I see the MWR program, especially for these young youth are having softball. I see that the SHARP program is getting ready to have a walk. I would tell you that the physical health working group, which is chaired by Colonel Madkins, as well as MWR, U.S. Army Garrison Redstone's MWR, Lori Serrani, she is the co-chair. We are looking at starting a walk here, which is going to be known, which we're going to run by to you. But this is something that we're talking about, walking or exercising for a better you. We only have one life to live on this earth. Health is wealth.
You're absolutely right. And we try our best to take care of it. And I think with the CR2C program, with those working groups and the initiatives and resources that we are putting together, it's really going to help get after health, wealth of our working force and our soldier population, along with our civilian population here on Redstone. And again, it's not just Redstone centric. It's for all the working forces out there. If you're chiming in from Korea, Germany, no matter where, it's really promoting a program in those three facets of working groups to find out initiatives, find out resources to continue to help you out so you don't feel like you're out there alone facing these concerns or challenges. There are people here to help out, get to the finish line and continue pushing forward, right? I'd like to ask you a question. How important is it for people to continue to know about the CR2C program?
Well, it's extremely important. And I want to talk about something. If you live in this community, there's something that's coming out, if you don't mind me talking about it, Sergeant Major, the Community Strength Themes and Assessment Survey. This survey is a 35-question survey. We want individuals, to include myself, if you're a part of this Redstone Arsenal community, to be heard. This survey is to identify things that we can do better or continue to do to sustain as an installation. The positive things and some of the things that you see that we may need to to improve. The senior commander, the garrison command team is adamant about the overall health and welfare of this community. This is one survey that can help identify and make this community available. This community, I want to thank, is being promoted by our very own PAO. It's being promoted in Rocket. It is being promoted on other social media outlets here. This survey was available from April 1st, and it's going until 16 May. We get these results back. We'll come up with priorities to make this installation and to focus on to make this installation the best place that individuals will want to work and live. So this CR2C program is extremely important. It's for us. It's for our health. Please take the time, whether you're at work, whether you are home, to Take advantage of and use all of the installation services. Take the time to learn about and contribute and ask your spouses, ask your coworkers about these working groups and what you can do to contribute to these working groups to make your organization, your family environment, and Redstone healthy overall. And this program, this CR2C, is for soldiers, civilians, retirees, family members, and let's not forget our contractors, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think, we always like to say, vote with your feet. And I would tell you that this survey will allow the CR2C program, the groups that work within those programs to strategize and get good feedback from you and see what we really need around this community to focus in on and make sure that we put those on our top priority and bring those types of resources to help our Redstone and surrounding community that are involved in the CR2C program or work around the installation. It is really just to continue to better our people, and this is a way to continue to better our people out. And I think it's really aligned with SMA's message and our Army Chief of Staff's message when we talk about this is my squad and people first strategy. I mean, you're really taking it on. You've brought it a long way. I think you're the right person to continue to push this forward. We had a good brief with our senior commander, and he's real pleased with what's going on. By you guys helping us out in that survey will really allow us as leaders and those people that are participating in the CR2C program to hone in on what really needs to be brought to the table to ensure that we bring those resources and get better at what we do. As we close out, I'd like to, thank you, Mr. Bryan Copeland, for coming on to the show. The bottom line up front, you bring some good energy to this program, and I think it's going to continue to grow. Anything we could do to help out and continue to push the bubble forward, we're going to be here to help out. Also, any last thing you'd like to close out with before we close out the bottom line up front podcast? Over to you, Mr. Bryan.
Well, Sergeant Major, I tell you, I follow my lead. I got a great supervisor. I got great team members, and the Garrison Command team is a great team, to include the senior commander. I want to thank all of the individuals. We had our first CR2C the 26th of March, and there was maximum participation from the organizations on the installation. So I appreciate being here. I thank the senior commander as well as you all and my supervisor and other team members for allowing me to contribute to our overall mission. It's a great place. Redstone is a place where individuals want to work, play. It's like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. I've said this several times. We click our heels 3 times and say there's no place like home, no place like home, no place like home, Sergeant Major.
Hey, thank you very much. And again, we'll continue to promote health and wellness in our organization and around our community. And we need you to continue to give us that feedback so we know which direction to go. But thank you for tuning in to the bottom line up front. I'm Command Sergeant Major Juan Jimenez, and I am out of here. Thank you.